Listen up.
Welcome to the PowerShell Podcast, the podcast for PowerShell and the PowerShell community. And now, here's your host, Andrew Plaw.
Welcome to another episode of the PowerShell Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Plaw, at Andrew Plaw Tech. Very exciting episode in store for us coming up here soon with Christian Ritter. But first, I have a few news items to talk about. Shout out to Jeff Hicks for the PS Blue Sky module. If you haven't heard, there's been kind of a resurgence in the PowerShell community on the Blue Sky platform. This is a cool API module to just interact with it. I highly recommend checking out Blue Sky and the PowerShell community over there. It's been pretty enjoyable to have sort of a small community, see it grow, have a nice little place to post. If you want to see what I looked like on Halloween dressed up as the PowerShell logo, check there and you might be able to see the things I do for a quick laugh. There's also a cool blog by GaryTown.com. It's install and manage Del Command Update with PowerShell. So Del Command Update to keep your Dells up to date and using PowerShell, kind of getting to peel back behind the curtain, look behind the scenes a little bit. But that's your quick community update. I want to bring our guest. I haven't talked to him in a while. Christian, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while. I've missed you, man. How you been?
Hey, Andrew. Thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty well currently, to be honest. Also, it's a little bit stressing, but maybe we come to the point a little bit later in our conversation. But I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're a busy person these days. I know you have a PowerShell Saturday coming up here.
Exactly. So even my background could give a little hint. We, Emrys and I, will organize a PS Saturday in Germany, in Karlsruhe. I know, very hard to pronounce or not, German speakers. But so we can stick with PS Saturday Germany upcoming, if you like to. And it's the first time ever that I organize such a PS Saturday. I've organized a little PowerShell hackathon earlier this year, but this is getting a little bit bigger than we expected in the first place. So maybe it could also be due to the amazing speaker lineup that we currently facing. And it's only 28 days and 9 hours and some minutes and seconds till then.
Nice.
So it happens on the 13th of November. And the only reason why I'm here actually is because I asked you if you can do a shout out and you said, hey, join the podcast. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, we're giving it definitely that shout out. And the podcasts that have just come out were from me at a different PowerShell Saturday here in the States in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And
I would love to attend it there.
Yeah. But I just love seeing that there's these small grassroots conferences going on around all over the world, not just the one here in the United States. We got Germany, maybe some other people organize some in the future. But I think that the speaker quality is amazing, right? No matter where you put it on, the people in the community who have something to say will find their way to your conference. But how did you go about getting such a good speaker lineup?
I have to say it's more like when you have made friends with some of the speakers, so others easily follow too. So the thing is, I'm in contact with, for instance, Matthias or Ben and Björn since the last 2 years. So it was kind of easy to convince them or beg them to come to Germany because they don't live in Germany. So we have Matthias, Jakob, Björn, Yevgeny, Ben, I've said already. James Ruskin is also joining. So
love that guy.
That's really cool. And we also have a good set of sponsors because at first we had to find a place. Because it's nice that you have some potential speakers, but where's the place? What is the cost? Because we said, okay, we don't want to take any money from the attendees. It's completely free. And we said, okay, we have a small budget. We have to find some good quality of sponsors. And luckily we found Scriptrunner because we will host the event there in their offices. Or in the conference rooms. So basically, the event doesn't take place in Karlsruhe. It takes place in Ettling, which is directly connected to Karlsruhe. But most of the people don't know Ettling, so Karlsruhe is more known in Germany.
Awesome.
So
well, if you're in the area, definitely make sure to make your way out there.
yeah, we would love to. We can have it till 100 people sitting there. So, and it's also free
Awesome.
pizza. So if the speaker lineup haven't convinced you yet to join, the free pizza should do the job.
And they get to meet you. That's reason enough. I'd be there.
Yeah, you can also book your flight if you like to. We have some days.
Were you the first person who submitted a talk for PowerShell Summit?
Yeah, I was the first one because I want really badly to attend next year, because I've attended this year as a speaker, and I want to have the same or even better experience next year. So I was eagerly waiting when they announced that we can submit, and I've prepared some sessions. So I have one submission left, I think, and I'm having a hard time of thinking about what could I submit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I want to take all the chances to really get a seat to be there.
Well, if you want to co-present anything, I'm looking for a couple of co-presenters. I don't know the topic yet, but always like a group presentation.
I also
Hopefully I can see you
submitted a
there.
workshop. That would be my first workshop.
Oh, that could be interesting.
4 hours of Christian on stage. That could be funny, or it could be a worst nightmare. I don't know.
Hey, they'll learn
we'll see.
something. They'll learn something. Your jokes will be well prepared. Well, that is some exciting stuff. But I've seen you. You've been busy. You've been doing a lot of stuff with the Graph API lately.
Yeah. Actually, I found my way to the developer tools in my browser, because sometimes I was facing some issues, having problems with the native PowerShell Graph module SDK, and was like, okay, I want to have this functionality and this functionality. It's not there by default. At first, I want to get all of the enterprise applications inside of my tenant, and I just had a chance to get the app registration, which is also good, but app registrations are the things that live inside your tenant, and enterprise application could be a representative of your app registrations, or things that live outside of your tenant. And if you want to make a report for all of the enterprise applications, you have to export them somehow. And the thing is, if you don't know the exact filter, there's no native method for exporting them. So I just clicked through the portal, the Enter ID portal, and was looking like, okay, there's a filter. And if you just step through the developer tools and fetch the XHR requests, then you can see exactly which filter you have to append to your command. And then it's good, but I'm really bad at remembering things. So I said, okay, come on, let's do a function for my own. And I said, okay, that could be interesting. And I made a little LinkedIn post and Twitter post about it. I didn't do Bluesky, to be honest. Maybe I have to consider to post them more. And yeah, the reaction said, okay, this was really good for the community. And I said, okay, then I got more and more into the Enter portal and looked what else I regularly do on the portal, because I'm lacking of native ways to do this with PowerShell. And so I extended the whole subset of functions that I've made up. So yeah, I've made it.
Okay, so you were basically clicking around in the portal and you used developer tools to see the actual API requests you were sending?
Correctly. And the funny thing is, I've recently written a blog post about how I do this exactly. It was my first walkthrough blog post, or really walkthrough blog post. And the thing is, what I came across was that sometimes the old APIs get called by Enter-ID, which was really funny because when you go to the learn page for example, how it was called, give me a second, it was called the Azure ID graph, which is the URL graph.windows.net, which is deprecated, and Enter-ID still sometimes calls them, specifically for non-interactive sign-ins. And the thing is, you can switch it around and just append a filter to the URL for graph for the sign-ins, and you get all of the non-interactive sign-ins. So yeah, that was a really interesting outcome of the research, that even the Enter-ID portal sometimes relies on deprecated endpoints. But I'm really sure they really do their best to update as soon as possible. I also reported this because the thing is, when you come across some things, just shout at them. Just say, okay, hey, there's a thing, it's deprecated, you all notice, here's the point, have a look, please. And most of the time, it get really quickly updated.
That's cool. So if you're using the graph, check this out. If you also just want to learn this technique, because this using the developer tools in this way can be used for other APIs as well. I mean, a lot of things on the web are based around APIs, and you can potentially automate whatever you're clicking around doing, even if the module that they provide does not have that capability. You just need to be able to figure out what methods they're calling and how they're kind of constructing things.
Correct.
But you're advanced. You're a little far in your career, Mr. Christian. You got the skills. You know what you're doing. You know a thing or two, and you got it working. And not only that, my friend, you shared it with the world. That's a powerful thing. So
yeah,
that is the type of thing that I expect from an MVP. And I believe since the last time we talked, little birdie told me that you're now a Microsoft MVP, man. So congrats. It's well deserved.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really stunned when I received the mail. So I got nominated by Fabian Bader. So shouts out to him. And yeah, I just said, okay, I did some user group sessions. I blogged a lot. I created some modules. And I spoke at the PSConf EU and also the PS Summit. And I thought like, maybe that could be okayish in terms of what it has to be for have some really good contributions to the community, and said, okay, now or never. And I said, okay, then I will accept the invite from Fabian to give them my contributions. And then some months later, I received the mails, and I was like, okay, maybe it's a mail. We have to wait still, or you didn't get accepted. And I was like, oh, I got accepted. And then my hand began to shake, and I had to go to my wife and say, okay, could you just read aloud slowly? That is really the thing, and I don't mix things up right here. And yeah, it was on a Sunday, I remember.
Well, it's been working because now you are putting on a conference, which is quite a big undertaking.
Yeah, but I got nominated in 2 fields, which I didn't aim for, to be honest, because most of my PowerShell scripts was more or less related to Microsoft Graph. And so I got the MVP title for Windows 365, and no, Microsoft 365, and also for Azure related to PowerShell, and 365 for my graph doings, which is pretty neat.
Nice.
Yeah, the thing is, what I really like about getting in touch with some Microsoft products, or speaking of them, presenting, or even posting some things, sometimes we really come across some of the people at Microsoft that are developing that kind which you're talking about and asking for your opinion or saying, okay, this is a cool thing. Maybe you could do the issue on the product itself, so we can take your stuff and put it in there, and that's really nice. And this also happened way before I got the MVP title. For instance, Mel Fernando was always someone who got engaged with is engaging with the community, and therefore you don't have to be an MVP to make a change.
Yep.
I really like this mentality from the people of working at Microsoft.
Yeah, I think that's the proper approach to it. You're gonna feel better about things if you do it and your goals are tied to improving your situation and the situation of those in a similar role to you. Than I'm just gonna do it to get this little career accolade. It doesn't actually give you any money or anything like that, but it makes you feel good, Do it for the people, and good things will come along the way. Whether that's an MVP or if that's just you figuring out that you actually were able to just kind of do your job, share it with others, and actually help people. That to me is what fires me up the most. It's like, oh my gosh, a script you wrote X number of years ago is still helping people. Like, that's so wild and so efficient. Makes me feel like, dang, dude, this VS Code session that I'm in right now, we can do something.
Yeah, I didn't started to get in contact with the community or blog or speak somehow just to become MVP. I don't want to say it's a little thing, it's a really huge thing for me, but it wasn't intended. So if this is the side outcome of it, I'm really grateful for this. I'm really glad that I got this, but it was my intention. So if I hadn't received the title this year or never ever, I still would contribute to the community because I gained so much knowledge, so much things out of people that are doing way more than I do just by providing information or writing modules or supporting or contributing to modules which I can benefit from. It's the inner urge just to want to give something back to the community.
Well said. Well said. So you teased it a little bit earlier, but you're putting on a PowerShell Saturday. There's some amazing speakers there. What inspired this decision to host your own conference?
Mostly the thing that I said, okay, I like to get to come together, to see friends, make new friends. So, and I think only go to 2 or 3 PowerShell related conferences a year is too less for my kind of taste. And as there was no happen another PowerShell Saturday which are easily accessible for me, I said, okay, maybe it's a good idea to start our own. And Emrys had the same thought. I think he had his thought first. I don't know, but then we said, okay, let's make something together. And at first we had to decide, okay, where we want to do this. And in the first moment, I like to say, I really wanted to present on my own PS Saturday, but then we got over nearly 60 submissions from over 30 different speakers. So I said, okay, organizing such a thing is a big task, and it's really difficult to not select some people that are even close friends or someone who is a well-known figure in the community. And I said, okay, then I take a step back. I don't have to be the presenter everywhere, and I just can say, okay, we will organize this, and therefore we can contribute to the community to have this take place.
I like it, man. I like it. And links to everything we've talked about, your blog post, your PowerShell Saturday, if people want to register, November 30th, right?
Yeah, 30th of November, yeah.
Links to everything will be in the show notes. Now, I got to get your take on something.
Yeah.
Okay. Graph API. What percentage of the time are you using the module versus just direct API calls with invoke REST method? What's your Sure.
I like to say right now when I do just basic things in the terminal, I mostly stick to the real SDK. But on the other hand, when I do a script, for instance, and I know when I say this out loud, Ben will tell me another story at the PS Saturday. I just like to use invoke mg ref method, because when you have handled the authentication, you don't have to care about the tokens or something like that. You still can use all of the benefits from using invoke ref method, but you already got authenticated. And therefore, I like to use this. And Ben really hates me for this. But yeah, so I say, okay, when I write scripts, I just stick with invoke mg request. But then I just really go in there and write it for my own, because what I really don't like about the SDKs that we have a splitting in terms of beta and V1 endpoints. Because mostly I try to stick with version 1, except when I have some properties that I can only consume while using beta, for instance. So, but the thing is, when I would stick to the PowerShell SDK, I have to decide which module I want to use. I want to use the beta modules, or I want to use the V1 modules, or really get messed up very quickly. And so I say, okay, I just write my scripts dynamically and can decide which endpoint I want to use for which purpose.
I hear you there. I will say that I like that practice of any API module that exists, make the invoke whatever method, invoke REST method, but like their wrapped version, make that available. And I'm happy to see that Microsoft copied that. Not saying I invented it. I certainly didn't. People did it way before. But it feels like now, to me, it's like a validated best practice, because basically it just makes it so people can take advantage of the authentication, the headers that are kind of pre-built, but they can specify their own URLs, their own bodies, whatever they need to, that maybe whenever you're making decisions as you write a module, gives them some flexibility to work around some things.
Exactly. But the thing is, what I really like to mention is the Microsoft.graph.enter module, which should be really renamed something different. Do you have already heard of it?
No, what is it?
Microsoft.graph.enter is a module which is more, I like to say, PowerShelly. The main development team behind Stephen, now please, Mutungi could be the name. There's also aka.ms link, aka.ms/entra.ps. It's a handwritten module. So when you just see the basic PowerShell Graph SDK modules, they are automatically generated. So they had a long time of missing proper help and so on. And this module wraps it around. So you can start to begin by piping. And it was a really good session on the PowerShell Conf EU this year from Alexander Nikolic.
Oh, yeah.
He showed it there because it got globally available in a beta. It's alpha or beta right now. Right at the time of the PSConf EU. So he just showed it there live. And so this module, it's handwritten. It's a wrapper for all of the Entra ID related functions. And like I said, you can start to use pipes. Get MG application, pipe, remove Entra application, works like a charm. So, and like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I've written a script for the enterprise applications. And I was posting about, and Steve from the product team of this came on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, could you please make this an issue for the Microsoft.graph.intro module?" And so they're really hearing the users complain about something and are really eager to get us pushed into the module. And one thing when I contribute to projects like DBA tools or the Microsoft.graph.intro module, for instance, I always run my module analyzer over the whole project. And my module analyzer does two things, but it does them pretty good. It's just iterating through the help of each command and check if the examples are in there. No, that they are correct in there. There's no misspelled or missing or copy paste issue or error or something like that. And it also checks if the parameters also get a proper descriptions. And it's just a small thing. Just run it over your module, get a report, and make a new issue on the project, which you are also currently contributing to.
Boom. And to take it down a level for people who haven't ever used an API, they hear it, they dabbled with a little bit of PowerShell, they haven't gone fully across. Let me tell you, using APIs will transform the game for you. The Graph API is one example, but you will run into a bunch of APIs. Christian, are you running into APIs in your day job? Is it helping you automate things?
Yeah, as most of the time it's the Graph API right now, but I had a time where I had to manage Eagle devices. You have heard of Eagle devices?
No.
That's a little thin clients. Back in the days, mostly they are currently at the same desk still. Basically, some terminal device, I like to say. So you have some kind of RDP form, Citrix, blah blah blah, and you have the little thin client on your desk, and you just make the RDP connection or any kind of connection to the VDI. And there was a brand called Eagle, and I had to manage them. So I had to say, okay, there was some kind of management software where you have some kind of structure, like in the Active Directory with some kind of OUs or some policies. And I just made a template, which was a solid template for the whole structure of the organization of the clients and the policies, and I said, okay, that's a cool thing, but I like to export them, and the export of them wasn't quite easy, but I got the API. And so I said, okay, all the steps that I did manually, which I wasn't able to export, I said, okay, let's rebuild this just by making API calls. And so I got a neat little template script, which provided the whole environment for those devices.
Boom. APIs,
In minutes.
they unlock a lot for you. Yep. And it's one of those skills where you're going to keep running into APIs. So you're going to want to bite the bullet and just go ahead and actually put in the time to learn it if you haven't yet. And it's kind of fun because you can learn a lot about programming through that and understand how a lot of things on the internet and in the work world work.
Have you some APIs that you recently used except of Microsoft Graph? If you have used Microsoft Graph API.
Are you asking me? Well, the product that we have at work, PDQ Connect, I use the API there, so can do all kinds of stuff, deploy applications, check on things. It's fun. But the real magic when you're using APIs is, and there's levels to it. Like level 1, you're just sending API requests. When you start to really get into the magic of things, it's when you can pipe things together, right? So you get all of your whatever, then you pipe it to set, or you can take action on things. It just feels a lot more natural. But Christian, I got some hard questions for you, man.
I'm scared.
You ready?
Halloween was yesterday, wasn't it?
Give us a tip. So you've come quite a ways in your journey. What's a tip What's something you've struggled with? Some advice you'd give younger you before you've gotten where you are now? Maybe 10 years ago.
10 years ago, oh damn, I was basically at my old company, sitting in second or third level, and was really about to, should I get to a PowerShell conference? Should I take the chance to go there? Because I was the PSCon VU, and I was like, I really want to go there. But the thing is, I had to pay. I would have to pay it out of my own pockets, and I decided to not to do this because it was also a lot of money for me. But it was happening in Germany. But yeah, the tickets are ticket prices still. And I said, okay, now I don't want to invest on my own to go there. And I'm really honest, I regret a step that I didn't took the chance to go there, because the whole experience from the community that I experienced so far would have been also worth 10 years ago. And I bite myself in the buttock to not have done this already. There.
Get involved, get out there.
Yeah.
And there are some places in the world where maybe it's a huge flight or it's not really find places online to attend. There's a lot of different ways to get involved. Do whatever you can. You will benefit from it. Everybody that I talk to says it. So I don't think they're lying to you. All right. Give us your top 3 favorite modules. I know you're digging the Graph SDK, but what are your top 3 favorite modules right now? Maybe something people have heard of, maybe something off the beaten path a little bit.
That's quite difficult.
I didn't say it was easy, Christian.
Yeah, no. Lately, I have played a lot with Import Excel.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
From Doug Finke. Fink. It's a really neat module because I had to provide some deep level object stuff for end users. So, for instance, file share permissions. So you have a root folder and you have some groups there underneath and some users and which kind of permission type they've got in the ACL. And it was very hard to show it as an object. Easy step through, no worries. But the thing is, to present this in a CSV as a flat layered architecture, kind of hard, and no end user really likes to read JSON files. So I had to find a way to present it to the end user, and Import Excel really made a really good job there, because then I said, okay, go to one sheet, make several tables just for one path, for instance, make a next sheet for another path, and so they get a really good understanding how the folder structure is currently implemented to make the changes, and it was so easy to re-import this and make the changes. So I really would say Import Excel, then Microsoft.graph.entra. Please all check that out. If you find some issues or have ideas, post it to the GitHub. They're always happy to hear from you. And the third module, and I have said this already in one of my first episodes here. It's still NTFS security module, because when you speak of permissions ACL and you have some weird long folder hierarchy, for instance, and you get over the max cap limit of symbol characters that a string can has, or a path can has, then you have a problem with get ACL command. And there you have get ACL2 or something like this. Then the command name is called in the NTFS security module. It's easy to iterate. Just do some kind of symlinks or some techniques to resolve the whole path. But it really makes a good job. And if you ever experience some kind of oh, there's a nice SharePoint list of folder structure. I like to make a local copy on my computer, and I want to step through or remove or something like this. You easily go above the limit, because and the backend technique there long ago was WebDAV. I don't know if they do the same still, but SharePoint is able to really mess up your folder structure on your machine. So antivirus security is probably the third choice.
Solid choices. Well, Christian, thank you for joining me on another episode of the PowerShell podcast. And thank you,
Thanks for
everybody
having me.
out there, for listening. Oh, don't worry. We're not done. I got another one for you. I want to say, if you're out there, drive safe, walk safe, do whatever you're doing, do it safely. Thank you for choosing to listen to the PowerShell podcast, giving us your time. Hopefully you got something back out of it. And if you did, would you be so kind to leave a like, comment, a subscription, perhaps even a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice? Really does help. And at the very least, click the little likey button. Always is cool. But Christian, people have dug the vibes. They say, oh my gosh, this Christian person, they do a bunch of stuff. Where can we find you on the World Wide Web? What are your socials? Where are you creeping? Are you on Blue Sky? Are you on LinkedIn? Where are you, man?
Currently, I'm on all of those platforms. I'm on Mastodon, LinkedIn, Twitter, Blue Sky, GitHub. Most easily is to find my link tree. So linktr.ee/HC and there you can find my handle, HC Ritter, and also all the links to all the platforms where I spread the word. Keep it that way.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Christian. And thank you, everybody out there. Have a great rest of your day. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the PowerShell Podcast. The PowerShell Podcast is a PDQ production, making device management simple, secure, and pretty damn quick.